Hey everybody, my name is Michael Rice. I'm a software developer at Rackspace. I'm going to be talking with you today about a little project I work on called YAVIJAVA. It is a, oh wait, let's cover this legalities. All right, moving on. So what is YAVIJAVA? It is it's a Java SDK for the vSphere web API. So the vcenter.com/SDK API that you'd be using to interact with vCenter or ESX hosts. I've called it YAVIJAVA because it's yet another VIJAVA. So it's a fork of the VIJAVA library created by Steve Jen. And it tightly wraps the SOAP services. That's all it is. So why did I make YAVIJAVA instead of just sticking with VIJAVA or using the Java SDK that VMware provides? Well, let's start with the VMware SDK. It's not open source, so it's out. Boom, not interested. So why didn't we just continue using VIJAVA? Well, the community was basically dead. There hadn't been any public releases of the open source VIJAVA since 2013, and that release was a beta. It wasn't even an official tagged release, so you kind of had to use it at your own, worries or whatever. The forum for VIJAVA was flooded with questions and no answers. Occasionally, other community members would answer, but the project maintainers were non-existent. Basically, you could see that they were going for a pay-to-play thing. If you wanted to use VIJAVA, you need to move to VIJAVA NG, and that was a licensing thing. You were going to have to pay for a license. If you wanted to include it in your own products, you're going to have to pay for licensing for that as well. And so that just wasn't something that I wanted to deal with. So I decided to fork it. The main reason, I'll be honest, was I wanted to add logging, and there was no logging, and I hate working on subversion projects, and so I wanted this thing at GitHub, so I forked it and moved it to GitHub and just kind of took over. So why should you migrate your project from VIJAVA to YAVIJAVA? I would have to say the number one reason right now is vSphere 6 support. If you're using VIJAVA and you want vSphere 6 support, it sort of works-ish. And so what that means is there's backwards compatibility in the vSphere API. So when you make a call, it sees that you're on version 6, and it's like, I can't handle that. And so it loads up a version 5 or whatever your library can handle. So if you were using VIJAVA, in that case, it would be a version 5 of the library. And so you would be able to use most of the stuff from that. If your code at all depended on the inventory navigator in VIJAVA, you're in for a rough time because it was hard-coded to not really work very well and to load the wrong property collector specs for your inventory navigator unless you're on version 4 or 5. It would load up an old version from like 2.5, and so you were missing tons of properties. You'd miss out on all kinds of information. I fixed that in YAVIJAVA right away. I was like, what is this? Nope, no hard-coded, so we pulled that out. Load the right property collector every time. Another reason you would want to migrate is we have a very active community at this point. We've got over 10 contributors from all over the world who've sent in pull requests and patches. We've got folks from India, from China, from Florida, from all over the US. I mean, they're really excited about this project. I'm very active in it. I love to get pull requests and review code and make sure that everything's in good working order. And so it's encouraging for people to contribute, where the other project, it was very difficult to contribute to that project because a lot of times you couldn't even get the source tree to build. So another reason is I've moved the project from no build system to Gradle. And so if you're familiar at all with Java build systems, Gradle is very, very easy to use. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. If the project has been set up properly, there will be a binary for Windows and Unix-like systems included in the project, and you can just run like a /Gradle W and build on the project if you're on Linux or Mac. Or if you're on Windows, it's gradlew.bat build, and it will pull down all the dependencies needed for the package from the internet and build up a jar right then and there for you. So you don't have to muck around with figuring out if the POM file is correct or anything like that. You can just, boom, go. Nice and easy. So how do you migrate from your VIJAVA project to YAVIJAVA? Well, it's sort of a drop-in replacement. And the reason I say sort of is because there are existing bugs in VIJAVA that we have fixed. And if you were relying on some of those bugs, your code's going to be broken. One of the big ones was there was a trust all SSL. And so if you went and created your service instance and said, I'm going to ignore invalid SSL, because most people are using self-signed certs that vSphere comes with automatically. If you went ahead and said, I'm going to ignore those certs and just trust it, it trusted it globally for every single thing that your JVM was going to make a call to. So you've said, I'm going to trust this cert from my vCenter, not knowing that you're now trusting every single cert. So if your application talks to vCenter, and then it also goes and verifies information on some banking website or whatever, and there's an untrusted cert there, you're just sucking it in too, and you don't even know it, because VIJAVA, it modified the global security context, and so we've taken that out. So if your code was depending on that, it's not going to work. You're going to need to fix it. There's a few other bugs similar to that we've fixed that will cause problems. So you want to just drop the library in and make sure you test it. Test. Test your code. Don't just go ahead and throw it into production. And the other thing is it's got some new dependencies. VIJAVA did not log anything. We log all the things. If you go and enable trace logging, you will get everything, and I mean everything. All the XML going to and from the server. And your password will be in plain text stored right there in the logs. So it's everything. So be sure you test before you just, think you're going to throw the YAVIJAVA in and be able to migrate to it. So you want to make sure you have a good time. So where do you get YAVIJAVA? Well, the source code is stored on github.com at github.com/YAVIJAVA/YAVIJAVA. So it's got a weird URL like that because I've created an organization called YAVIJAVA. And the reason I did that is I've got a lot of sub-projects that the organization owns. So YAVIJAVA, with it being a very tight wrapper around the SOAP API, one of the projects I created will auto-generate the code for YAVIJAVA now, and it's called the YAVIJAVA generator. And so you point it at some what's new documentation that comes out with the API what's new, and it will pull down all of that HTML, parse through it, find data objects, fault objects, enums, everything except for the managed objects right now, and it will just generate all that Java code. Boom. And so then we've also got the project to do samples. And so there's lots of independent little samples on how to use YAVIJAVA. Either we've got some Groovy samples, we've got some Java samples. I'm looking for anyone that wants to contribute Scala or any other JVM-based languages. Just open up a pull request, and I'll gladly merge that code in as long as we can get it to run. So now, where do you get the binary releases? I release those to public Maven. So anytime we cut a release, I immediately publish that to public Maven, and so you can just get it from your favorite Maven repository. Just edit your POM files if you're using MVN, or if you're using Gradle or some kind of Grails or something, you can just add it to your build scripts. It's com.toastcoders is the namespace on that. So once you have it, where do you get help? This is the fun part, because with the other library, you went to SourceForge and you asked a question and you hoped that somebody would answer it eventually. Well, with YAVIJAVA, you can go to GitHub and you can go to the main YAVIJAVA project and just open an issue. It's the first place you can go. Just ask your question right there. The community is pretty active and pretty helpful. They'll answer your questions. And I usually try and hit the questions up once or twice a week to try and answer any unanswered questions. We've got a wiki that we've started on that project as well. So if you feel like something should be there, by all means, just add it. Add it. Let's get it going. Another place you can go is the sample project I mentioned before. So we've got the Java samples, we've got Groovy samples, and we'll have others, as people contribute. So those are good places to go and see, how do I get started with this library? How do I use it? Things like that. Another place you can go is the actual VIJAVA samples. Those should all still mostly just work, right? So, because we didn't change any of the namespaces or anything like that, so a lot of that code should just be drop-in replacement, and you should be able to just use it. Stack Overflow is another great place to go. Ask your question, kind of tag it up with VIJAVA or YAVIJAVA. I like to go through that at least once a week and answer questions on there. If you're not familiar with GitterIM, it's a new web-based chat that ties in with GitHub projects. And so we've got a GitterIM chat support for this as well. So if you want to just log onto it with your GitHub account, just kind of link in. It's all tied together. You can create issues and things like that directly from the GitterIM. You can also go to Freenode. I park in there at pound VIJAVA. And then, of course, the docs. Everybody likes docs. So yavijava.com/docs, and that's where the latest SOAP docs from VMware are. You can also get the docs at VMware's website, but they're in a weird form. I don't like the way they've done their docs now, so I take the docs that are bundled with the SDK and just put those up because they're a little easier to read. So looking to the future, what do we plan to do with YAVIJAVA as the project grows? Well, my number one thing on the list right now is to get rid of DOM4J and get a streaming markup parser in there, something that's way faster and uses way less memory. Like right now, the DOM4J just chews up the memory, and it's a lot slower than it needs to be. So that's number one on the list right now. Number two, SPBM support. We want to try and tie in all of the big SDK supports so that you can utilize this library for all the other SDKs that VMware has: SPBM, CIM, SMS, SSO. The next big hurdle for us is full Java 8 support. Right now, there's a problem with a lot of the Java docs we're using. I've gotten a couple of pull requests in to fix some of that. We've got quite a few more to go. And then just fully dropping Java 6 support. We're going to say goodbye to Java 6. So Java 7, probably with the next release of vCenter, will be the default version of Java you're going to need to use. And so that's about it. Thank you very much.